Okay, good. Hey everyone. So there was no flea market video last week, even though I did go, because I didn't really get a lot. So we're gonna do another one of those. I do 2 flea markets worth because I actually got a lot of stuff today. And before we start, I'm actually gonna get up again after I just sat down because I forgot some stuff. How you guys like my hair, by the way? I thought it looked funny, so that's why I kept it for this video. So let's start off with the records that I got from last week, and then we'll just go into the records I got this week, and then we'll go into the games, because I think the games are a little more exciting than the records this time, but I guess that's up to you. So the first thing is the chilling, thrilling sounds of the haunted house. 'Tis the season, so I decided I'd get this because it's been at the flea market like several times. It's not a very hard record to find, but this has spooky party hints with it as well. So, maybe I'll play it on Halloween, even though I'll be working. Maybe I'll do it like the night before or something. Yeah, goofy novelty record. I don't have a lot of them, but I figure I might as well get the haunted house one. And this is The Raven by the Stranglers. We love the Stranglers in this house, even though I still need to listen to them, despite the fact that I have like 2 of their albums now. Not 4, 2. But yeah, it was like a $2 record. I don't even think I paid for it because I got it from the same guy who gave me the haunted house. So it was kind of just like a throw it in for free. But it's in pretty good condition, and it has a glossy feel to it, which I think is nice. It keeps it in good shape, let's just say. Alright, records. Not a lot of records this week. But there's some cool stuff. First up, got Joan Jett, the Blackhearts. I love rock and roll, She's cool. She's a rocker. She's a rocker chick, She plays rock and roll. And the flea market was a pain in the ass this morning because it was so fucking cold. Well, it was probably it was like 30 degrees or something, but I didn't have gloves on, so by the time I was thumbing through records, some of the later records, I was like barely like nudging my way through them, so I could hardly tell what I was looking at half the time. So I was kind of half-heartedly looking at records, which is why I didn't get a lot, but there's still some I got. Like that Joan Jett, which was like, it says $8 on here. It was half off, so I think I paid like $12 for these next couple of records. Like Kissing the Pink, Naked. I have never heard of this band. I've never heard. Well, actually, I think I have heard of Kissing the Pink. They sound kind of familiar, but I know nothing about them. I have no clue what their sound is whatsoever, so I'm probably going to listen to this sooner rather than later. It's Atlantic pressing. I have no clue what that means. Something interesting about this, though, is that it's a promotional copy, I suppose. And so yeah, sale is unlawful. Oops. Well, anyway, he sold it to me for like $3. And it looks like in good condition. It was just kind of interesting, which is why I got it. Because, you never know. Maybe it's your new favorite album. And Colin Thurston, that sounds familiar. I'm sure someone watching this is like, you don't know who Colin Thurston is? But yeah, these guys might be good. And for $3, you really can't go wrong. So yeah, I picked it up. Next up is Minute by Minute by the Doobie Brothers. You guys remember when I talked about Christopher Cross, who is I think I called him the god of yachts? Well, there's actually one. He's but a pretender to the throne, if you will, to the Doobie Brothers, especially when they've got What a Fool Believes on their side, the yacht rock song. It doesn't get much better than that. And I think this was $5, it says on here. So let's see. I got this, the Joan Jett, and the Kissing the Pink, all for $12, which pretty good, a pretty good deal. And sorry, it's a scratch. And the last thing I got was actually probably the most interesting record this week, and maybe for a little while. Let's see if I can get this out of here, because it's actually a pretty hefty ass album. Ooh, it's really stuck in that sleeve. I want to pull it out for the fans. Can't let your fans down. I know. I'm trying not to. But yeah, I saw this in the pile this week, and it was really interesting, which is the reason why I grabbed it, because I didn't know. I obviously don't know this band, because it's listed as Japanese pop rock. I guess their name is Off Course. Is that it? Well, that's in Japanese, so I can't understand that. Anyway, here's the cover, and I believe it's a gatefold. Yes. Oh wow. Look at these gentlemen. Don't they just look classy? So it's a 2 LP. It's a 2 LP album. And it's like real it's got a lot of weight to it. It comes with here's the book. It's also a lyric sheet. Live. Is this a live album? Product by Off Course Company. I have no clue who this is, what this is, but this is actually really cool looking. It's like picture book and stuff. Or it's like pictures, like the band. Live performances. Yeah, I guess their name is Off Course. We got Hitose Jiro Oma on the drums, Hitoshi Shimizu on electric bass, Kazuhiko Matsuo on harmonica and guitars. We got Kazumasa Oda on keyboard, and Yasuhiro Suzuki on guitars. Yeah, these guys seem pretty cool. I'll have to listen to this sooner rather than later. Kind of like with the Kissing the Pink, because I'm just interested in what the fuck this is. It's also just kind of fascinating to like, you're not going to see this often at like flea markets, like imports like this. So you really should just like, if you're interested in collecting, just snatch them up when you can, because you never know, you might get that something like that Dutch alt rock album that I got a while back, which was pretty good. It was a little weird. Or you might get something like the Fly Seville, which was really good actually. I listened to that a little while after that episode. I showed them off. And I'm sure like stuff like this is on streaming services. The Fly Seville are at least, but you're less likely to find out about them. It also helps that there's sort of that you're like kind of like buying it. You're buying these albums, so you have more of an incentive to listen to them, kind of get like your money's worth almost. Something you can kind of trick your brain, I suppose. So that's all. That's all for the albums. But I got some games, and we'll start with a game I got last week, and it's a box copy a complete copy of Bushido Blade for the PlayStation. Bushido Blade is a really interesting game because it's kind of like a tech demo, really, where it's like a fighting game made by like Squaresoft, and it the whole like conceit of the game is you play as like you play as these people and you pick your weapons separately from the characters, and that like decides their moveset. And when you're in battles, when you attack an enemy, you can cut their arms off, and then like they can't use their arms or like break their legs or whatever, and they like kind of like wobble around. But most of the time when you're attacking an enemy, if you like hit them in like the chest, they just straight up die. It's like a one hit kill game. So games can last like from like 2 seconds to like a minute. It's it's a really cool idea for a game, and I wish there's a sequel that's not as good, I hear, but I wish more games kind of like did something like that, where you know like complex like action games and stuff are cool and all, but it's just kind of interesting. There's something nice about something as simple as that, cuz and realistic, to be honest, cuz like, you know, if you got like if you got into like a duel with a samurai and like he just like cuts you across the chest, you're fucking done. There's nothing you can do about that. So that's what I like about Bushido Blade, and it's a really clean copy. I think I paid like $12 for it, and I put it right here with my other PlayStation games, which admittedly I don't have a lot, but the ones I have are good. And next, it's a, let's see if I can't find the other one. So I grabbed two N64 games this week, both fairly similar. It's Quake for N64 and Duke Nukem 0 Hour. These were at the flea market last week, but I didn't want to get them, or I was considering getting them, but I decided not to. And this week, since they were still there, I decided to snatch them. And Quake on N64, like, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, why the fuck are you playing first person shooters on the N64? But I don't know, it's kind of a novelty, I guess. You could I wonder if these support that that thing that GoldenEye does, where if you plug in a second controller in the second port, you can use it as like a dual stick, which is so dumb, but also like kind of novel to think about at the time when no one knew how to make controls for first person shooters on consoles, especially when there's only one stick. So yeah, that was cool. I was happy that they were still there, because N64 games and like Super Nintendo games, like sought after ones, usually get snatched up quick. And I paid about $19 for these two games, which I think is a fine deal. The contacts look kind of rough, but I think N64 games just sort of look like that. It's kind of hard to, I mean, I can clean them anyway, but I wonder how much like isopropyl will help. Maybe you can kind of see it. I don't know. Just take my word for it. Okay. So next game is cool game, really cool game, and a nice grab for $12. I got with the manual Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. If you know me, or if you know my channel, you know that I like Zelda 2 a lot. I think it's a really good game, and kind of underrated. It's a little weird to say that when it's a fucking Nintendo game. It's a Zelda game, no less. But I feel like a lot of people just kind of like shrug this one off and just don't even bother playing it, because it's not like the other Zelda games, when they're really missing out. There's a lot of stuff in this game that other later series I made a whole video about Zelda 2. If you haven't played it, just watch the video. It's a great game, and I'm happy to have it in my collection. I kind of just got this for the culture, really, because for the culture, Jesus, I can't believe I just said that. I kind of just got it to have it, because I don't have an NES to play it on, which is a little goofy to kind of get a game for a system you don't even own, but like, you know, it's it's an important game to me, so I'm happy to have it regardless. I think that's the only NES game I own. I don't imagine myself getting much more. Maybe one day I'll get a NES or some sort of equivalent just to play it. But in the meantime, I have other versions of Zelda 2 I can play. I can play on the fucking computer if it's really a problem. So the last thing I got. This is the grand finale. We can consider this sort of a follow-up to one of my other grabs I got earlier this year. And so for that, I mentioned I got this for $12, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, $12 for that. And finally, for $70 I paid for this. But if you look at prices online, you'll see that that's a pretty decent deal. And I got the Nights into Dreams box with the 3D control pad. The box is kind of banged up, but the controller is actually in really nice condition. And this is the 3D controller for the Sega Saturn. So, you know, that's a follow-up to when I got that Sega Saturn all that time ago. And a lot of people say that this is one of the comfiest controllers you can ever use. And I mean, I still need to use it a bit, but I like the stick, or the you can't even really call it a stick, can you? Because it's kind of like a nub, but it kind of has it has a lot of resistance, which I think is really nice. And like it's concave, so kind of like your thumb kind of like presses into it, which is nice. I'll have to play around with it to see how much I feel, but first impressions are pretty nice. I just kind of wanted to have this because, like, to play games like Nights into Dreams, you probably want a 3D controller, and here's the game itself. I've actually passed up this separately at the flea market a few times because I've been interested in getting the box set. And now that I have the box set, not only do I have a controller, but I also have a pretty cool game. Now all I need to get is Christmas Nights, which is like it's like a demo version or whatever of the game, but it's Christmas themed. Yeah, this was actually kind of crazy because we got to the flea market like really early in the morning. Like it was still dark out because, you know, it's fall, so it's getting darker longer. And I saw this in like a display case this guy was setting up, and I asked him the price, and he was like $70. And I only brought like 60 today to the flea market, and I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to go grab some more cash. And I go to there's like an ATM there. I go to there, and it's out of order. So I'm like, fuck, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I was very upset. Well, I was really bummed because I feel like if this was hanging around any longer, someone else would have grabbed it. So I asked Brian if he could spare 10 and I'd pay him back. So that's what I did. Thankfully the ATM was open later, so I was able to buy, you know, the other stuff. But yeah, if this flea market pickups, if this episode could have been a lot shorter if I didn't get that if that ATM was out of order and I didn't get that loan from Brian, which I'm greatly appreciative for because I've been looking for this for a while, and I'm happy to have it, and I'm happy to have it for a pretty good price. And that's everything I got this week. There's only one more flea market left. Remember when I said that there's one. I said I think the last time I did this that there's probably one good haul left in the flea market. I think this is it. I think this might. I think if there is another flea market pickups after this one, it might be a little lower key in episode than this one, because I mean this is kind of a way to cap it off, right? You know, the second episode I got the Sega Saturn, and it was kind of like a big thing for me. So for the the second flea market pickups video, I get the Sega Saturn. The second to last, I get the Saturn 3D pad with Nights into Dreams. Kind of bookends it in a way, with like a prologue and an epilogue, if you want to think of it like that. But hopefully, we get some cool stuff next week. I'm hoping, but I'm also not hoping at the same time, because I've spent enough. And I'd prefer to save some money. Well, once the season's over, hopefully I'll be pinching my pennies a little more, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it. I've droned on long enough. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.